If you've ever had a shot of vaccine or used any type of medication, chances are you have reaped the benefits of modern medicine, and you probably do not know the woman behind that benefit to you and your family. Henrietta Lacks was the woman whose cells were used by scientists, without her knowledge or consent, for the development of the polio vaccine, mapping of the human genome, and creation of COVID-19 vaccines in 1951. Her cells have generated billions of dollars and have been used to improve health for millions of people, yet her family could not afford health insurance. Henrietta died at 31 without knowing her body would save the lives of millions. This is a story about the most influential person that you've never heard about. Henrietta Lacks was born Loretta Pleasant on August 1, 1920, in Roanoke, Virginia, and lost her mother at the age of 4. After her mother's death, her father could not raise 10 kids by himself, so the family was divided. Henrietta went to live with her granddad in Clover, VA, and worked on a tobacco farm. Henrietta married her cousin, David Lacks, in 1941. After marriage, they moved to Turner Station, just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. David worked at Bethlehem Steel, and together Henrietta and David had 5 children. Henrietta was considered to be somebody who brought warmth to those around her, full of energy, enjoying cooking for her family, painting her nails bright red, and dancing. Everyone who knew Henrietta described her as someone full of life. In January 1951, however, she became concerned when she began to feel that something was wrong. After seeing a doctor, she was sent to Johns Hopkins Hospital located in Baltimore, Maryland, where Henrietta was treated for cervical cancer. At that time, Johns Hopkins was one of the few hospitals in Baltimore that accepted Black patients for treatment. After undergoing treatment, she eventually was diagnosed with cervical cancer, which she was not aware of until after being treated. Henrietta was 30 years of age at the time of diagnosis. During her treatment, Dr. George J. performed a procedure on Henrietta called a Pap test to obtain samples of cervical cells without obtaining permission or informed consent from Henrietta. At the time, there were no laws governing the harvesting of human tissue for research purposes. As a result, many Black patients were being denied the opportunity to give consent for surgery on their tissues. Dr. J had been attempting for a number of years to culture, grow human cells in vitro, outside of the individual, without success. Previously, when attempting to culture human tissues, all of Dr. J's previous samples would die within 3 to 5 days. Until Henrietta's cells were harvested from her body. After harvesting her cells, Dr. J was able to grow Henrietta's cells. And rather than dying, the cells continued to grow without dying, within 24 hours of being placed in a culture, doubling in number, and the rate of growth would be faster than that of previously recorded culture of human cells. HeLa cells were named after Henrietta Lacks, first 2 letters of first and last names. J then shared them with scientists all around the world. For the first time, scientists had access to human cells that could survive and divide indefinitely outside of a human body in a lab. These cells were immortal. Jonas Salk was trying to find a vaccine for polio during the 1950s, one of the most deadly infectious diseases at that time. He needed to find a way to make large amounts of polio virus for vaccine testing. The answer was HeLa cells. They could be easily infected with the polio virus and grown in mass quantities. If HeLa cells had not been available, it might have taken years longer to create a polio vaccine, and thousands more children would have died from polio. That was only the beginning. In the following 70 years, HeLa cells were used in over 75,000 scientific studies. They helped researchers understand cancer, develop medicines, study viruses, and create the human genome. HeLa cells have been sent into space to understand how human cells function in microgravity, tested for their responses to radiation and other toxic agents, helped scientists create HPV and COVID-19 vaccines. When Henrietta Lacks, HeLa, cells were grown in laboratory cultures, they created an entire industry based on the development, manufacture, and sale of products derived from these cells. Billions of dollars were earned through these sales, as well as by using products derived from her cells all around the world. The advancement of modern medicine and medical technologies is directly attributable to the existence of HeLa cells and their use. Henrietta Lacks passed away on October 4, 1951, after battling cervical cancer for 8 months. She was 31 years old, and her cancer had metastasis throughout her body before she died. Henrietta was buried without a headstone or any recognizable site in a grave in Clover, Virginia, buried in an area that lacked any way to identify it as her final resting place due to the high cost of headstones, etc. Her family had no way of knowing that her cells were alive and cultured in laboratories all over the world. Therefore, for 24 years, they were oblivious to this fact about their mother's cells. Only in 1975 was it casually mentioned to the Lacks family by a scientist that their mother's cells were still being used in research, and the family was shocked to learn about her cells existing in a laboratory. They did not even have a clear understanding what cells were at that time they found this out. When they learned that companies were generating billions of dollars selling products made from Henrietta's cells, while they could not afford to get health care insurance for their family members, it devastated them. Henrietta's family was denied their claims for compensation for years because her cells were taken legally according to the laws of 1951. Therefore, there was nothing they could do to receive compensation for Henrietta's wrongful death. Over decades of fighting with no resolution, in 2010, journalist Rebecca Skloot wrote about Henrietta Lacks in her book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, which later became a best-selling book and an HBO film starring Oprah Winfrey. On Henrietta Lacks' birthday, August 1, 2023, the family reached a settlement after filing a lawsuit against Thermo Fisher Scientific, which is the company that is still selling HeLa cells. HeLa cells are still alive today and continue to prosper in laboratories worldwide, over 70 years after Henrietta's death. Scientists have multiplied and reproduced her cells so many times that if they were all placed end to end, they would wrap around the Earth 3 times. Henrietta Lacks never attended college. She never received any awards. She never knew her cells had been taken away from her. She never knew they would help save millions of lives. Henrietta was a black woman living under racist conditions in 1950s America when she entered a hospital due to extreme pain. The healthcare system was supposed to help her heal, but instead, they stole from her the most valuable biological material ever in order to make money and profit off of her name, without ever having to ask her for permission. Sign up now to find out more about other unfortunate geniuses, those brilliant individuals who revolutionized our world and received nothing in return.